December 16, 1773. Boston. 10 in the morning. 5,000 people packed into the Old South Meeting House, the largest gathering in colonial Boston's history. Artisans, merchants, laborers, men who had no vote in Parliament, men who paid taxes anyway. They came to decide one question: what to do about the tea. 3 ships sat in the harbor: Dartmouth, Eleanor, Beaver, each loaded with crates of Chinese tea, taxed tea, East India Company tea. British law gave them 20 days to unload and pay the duty, or the cargo would be seized. December 17 was the deadline. Tonight was the last chance. The meeting had started hours earlier. Speeches, resolutions, arguments. But everyone knew Governor Thomas Hutchinson would not budge. He controlled the harbor. He refused to let the ships leave without paying. The crowd waited for one man: Francis Rotch, 23 years old, son of the Dartmouth's owner. He had ridden through freezing rain to the governor's mansion to ask permission for the ships to depart. Everyone knew what the answer would be. 13 years of tension had led to this moment. After the French and Indian War, Britain had debt. Parliament decided the colonies should pay. The Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, taxes on paper, glass, paint, tea. No taxation without representation. The phrase appeared in newspapers in 1768. The colonists had no seats in Parliament, no voice in London, but they paid anyway. Most taxes were repealed in 1770, except one: the tax on tea remained. It was not about the money. A pound of tea cost 3 pence. The tax was 3 pence per pound. Not ruinous. It was about the principle. Parliament kept the tea tax to prove it could tax the colonies, to demonstrate authority. The colonists drank nearly 1.2 million pounds of tea every year, most of it smuggled Dutch tea to avoid the British tax. The East India Company was drowning in surplus, 17 million pounds of unsold tea, near bankruptcy. In May 1773, Parliament passed the Tea Act, TRAF. It gave the company a monopoly, cut out colonial merchants, let the company sell direct. The tea would be cheaper than smuggled Dutch tea, but it would still carry the Townshend tax. Many colonists saw it as a trap. Accept cheap tea, accept the tax, accept Parliament's authority, house. In Philadelphia and New York, the tea ships were turned back. In Charleston, the tea rotted on the docks. But in Boston, Governor Hutchinson dug in. 2 of the tea consignees were his sons. He would not let the ships leave. The Dartmouth arrived in late November. Samuel Adams called a mass meeting at Faneuil Hall. So many people came, they moved to the Old South Meeting House. The crowd passed a resolution: the tea must be sent back. 25 men were assigned to watch the ship day and night. The Eleanor and Beaver arrived in early December. Hutchinson ordered them to stay. The tea must be unloaded. The duty must be paid. Meetings continued for weeks. Thousands gathered each time. Arguments echoed off the wooden walls of Old South. Some wanted compromise, some wanted confrontation. The Sons of Liberty made their position clear: no tea, no tax, no surrender. Paul Revere, a silversmith, attended every meeting. He listened, he watched, he said little. The December 16 meeting had been going since 10 in the morning. Now it was afternoon. The crowd was restless, cold, angry. Francis Rotch had left hours earlier, 20 miles through rain to the governor's mansion. The answer everyone expected finally came. 4 o'clock. Rotch returned to Old South, soaked, exhausted. Governor Hutchinson refused. The ships could not leave without clearance from customs. Customs would not clear them without payment of the duty. The crowd erupted. Samuel Adams stood. He raised his hand for silence. The room quieted. Adams spoke clearly. This meeting can do nothing more to save this country. Some historians say it was a prearranged signal. Others say it was not. Adams later tried to keep the meeting going. It did not matter. 10 to 15 minutes later, people began leaving, pouring out of Old South into the December night. Some went home, others did not. Griffin's Wharf, 7 in the evening. About 60 men gathered in the shadows near the docks. Some wore blankets, others had painted their faces, Mohawk disguises. It was theater and sabotage. They needed to hide their identities. Dressing as Mohawks was deliberate, a symbol. The original Americans, defying the empire. The men divided into 3 groups, 1 for each ship. They boarded quickly. No violence, no theft, only the tea. Each man had a role. Some smashed the crates open with hatchets. Others stood at the railings and heaved the chests overboard. Guards watched to make sure no one stole tea or damaged other cargo. The work took 3 hours, 342 crates, 90,000 pounds of tea, into the black water of Boston Harbor. The sound of wood splitting, splashing, the smell of tea leaves. A crowd watched from shore, silent, then cheering. By 10 o'clock, it was done. The men left as quietly as they had come. They swept the decks. One group had broken a padlock belonging to the ship's captain. They replaced it the next day. No one was hurt. No property damaged except the tea. Paul Revere left immediately. He rode through the night to New York, then Philadelphia, to spread the word. Boston had acted. December 17, morning. The sun rose over Boston Harbor. 342 crates of tea floated in the water, some broken, some intact, all ruined. Governor Hutchinson called it treason. British officials were outraged. Colonial opinions split. Some called it a principled stand, the only option left to defend constitutional rights. Others condemned it as mob violence, destruction of property. John Adams, Samuel's cousin, wrote in his diary, "This destruction of the tea is so bold, so daring, so firm, intrepid and inflexible, I cannot but consider it an epoch in history." He also wrote that Americans should stop drinking tea. It was unpatriotic now. Many agreed. Coffee replaced tea as the preferred drink. Spring 1774, London. Parliament responded with fury. The coercive acts. The colonists called them the intolerable acts. Boston's port was closed to merchant shipping. British military rule was established in Massachusetts. British officials became immune to prosecution in America. Colonists were required to house British troops. It was meant to punish Boston. Nichols rat Gibbs, to active to instert, to the English him. A carvanage developed. Given the joger-led stand of Antona Solitude, I have piosed. Conquidat beingness. A Lou, a feeble boy. Dutiful, or I'm stenled. Poere highly yelachio. Then, charidowed for our inducement a fascist may. People called it the destruction of the tea. Americans were reluctant to celebrate property destruction until the 1830s, when biographies of participants began to appear. Then it became a symbol of defiance, of principle over profit. Today, tourists visit Boston Harbor. They see replicas of the Dartmouth and Eleanor. They buy tea-themed souvenirs. The water is clean now, but for one night in 1773, it smelled like rebellion. 342 crates, 90,000 pounds, $2 million, gone in 3 hours. The empire never recovered. The revolution began.